Hey guys, this is the Lincoln County Podcast. I'm here today with Katie Aiello, and we're going to have a chat. So, tell us a little, what do you do?
So I am a custom home builder, and we specialize in custom homes, renovation, and we have a whole excavation division and own all of our own equipment for that. We've been in business for 31 years, so that's kind of big. And my dad, he started 31 years ago, and it's going to be 32 years in March. And I am picking up where he's going to leave off and continue to run things, and I have this whole vision of how I want things to be. So I'm working on that.
That's great. Did Casey ever tell you I painted a house for your dad?
No.
Yeah, I didn't through my painting company. At the painting company I worked at, my boss did a villa on Golden Bear.
Okay, Bear Creek.
Bear Creek.
Yep.
When I think he was getting going out here. I don't know. I think that's the only one. Can't remember if we did more for him, but I remember Jeff had purchased the villa,
yep,
and they did some sweat equity on it, so we went and painted it. So I met him back then and remembered kind of seeing that stuff. And then when Casey started networking and said something, I was like, oh yeah, I met him. It's been
the Villas of Indigo Run, which is what that was.
Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it had to be. It's been a while ago because I believe. Yeah, because when I started working. When I got into painting, we painted my boss's house that he sold to move there.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's been a long time ago. I would have been probably 24, 25 years old.
Yep, absolutely.
But, yeah, it's been a while back. So he's been around. You guys have been around for a long time.
Yeah, yep, we have been around for a long time.
How many houses do you guys do a year?
So we do about 10 to 15 homes a year.
Okay.
Next year, we're probably going to hit more of the 15 to 18 mark because we're starting a lot of jobs right now that will end next year. So it's not a ton of houses, but it's just the quality of the homes are, we take pride in how they turn out and all the little details in the homes.
The video you put up the other day with the Christmas tree and stuff, was that your home or is that a spec home? Or
that was a home that we renovated in St. Peter's area. So it was this big renovation. It was actually a friend of ours, and we went in there in the beginning, and he's like, I want to do all this, and we were kind of like, we don't know if he's going to end up doing all this, and we just ran with it, and it was a couple $100,000 remodel. Oh. So all new floors, all new everything, and I actually clean the house because I do that sometimes on the side because I love to see the finished product of what something's going to look like. So it's a good way for me to be able to stay in there to get the finished product pictures of the home. So That one was a total whole home renovation. It turned out absolutely beautiful. Yeah,
the video you put up was gorgeous. It's funny you say that about cleaning it. That's like, I'm really bad about that when we do repaints. I'll get the homeowner's vacuum out and vacuum.
Yeah.
So it makes my after photos look better.
Yeah.
The guys will, what are you doing? I'll be sliding furniture back, doing things that really like we need to leave. We need to go to the next job. But I love staging the house when we're done painting it.
Absolutely.
For that reaction from the homeowner. And we've had several of them over the years call Casey and been like, he vacuumed? You know how long it's been since a man vacuumed in this house? It's always hilarious, but I like to see the finished product. And that's really cool you said that because I find with the painting company and going in and painting behind some builders, some of them it's just dollars. Just build this one, move to the next one. And that's something that I've always found is a flaw in myself. Everything I do, I take it very personally. I want to make sure everything is good. I want the photo. I love taking the photos of the job and of what we've done. And it's really cool to hear that. And also as the painter, I could see just laying into my guys being like, dude, you better not get a drip anywhere because literally the builder's going to clean it herself.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I will, I'll be on the floors and I'm like, these freaking painters, what, did they not put down something? I'm like scraping the paint off the floors, but I'm glad you brought that up because, a lot of this, people think that in these businesses you'll get rich, right? And you'll have a lot of money and like, oh, they build these houses, they are probably so wealthy, but it doesn't matter for me about that paycheck at the end of the week. It has no value to me if I do not have those relationships with my customers and my subcontractors. That is 100% why I wake up every single morning. Obviously I got to feed my children, but those relationships, I mean, that's what my dad built this for 31 years and no social media. There's never been social media with it. So I'm stepping in and I'm saying, okay, we're doing it this way, and this way. And to me, my biggest thing is building the relationships. So I'm fortunate enough that most of my subcontractors, they've known me since I was a little girl. I was totally born into this. And so I have those relationships with them, and they're on my sidelines. They're cheering for me,
That is awesome to hear, because personally I feel the same way. Everybody thinks you're going to make so much money.
Yep.
And if they actually seen the spreadsheets and you see the profit on stuff when you're in business, but then it goes right back into the business.
It does.
It goes into taking care of this, taking care of that. It's not what it's always made out to be on social media, or what a lot of people think. I had all of our vans, all of our trucks, everything lined up at a parade once, and I told the guys, I was like, just so you know, that's my Lambo. And they said, what do you mean? I said, that's $247,000 worth of equipment right there that I could be rolling down the highway in right now, but you guys all have a company van. You guys have, and I wasn't even like figuring in the sprayers. We had everything cleaned and lined up, and my brain just started doing math. And I'm like, this is why we do this.
Yeah.
But we're not taking a lot of money and just blowing it.
Absolutely.
And people don't realize that, but I feel like people like us that are not doing it for that dollar in the beginning, it hurts us a little in the beginning, because we probably do things that we shouldn't do, as in like reinvesting more than we probably should. But in the long run, it's going to pay tenfold.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And it's like taking care of your workers. We have a 15-man crew that stands behind us. We do all of our own framing, excavation, all of our trim work we do on our own. And having a good group of guys, especially in today's world, how you can hardly find anybody to work, you have to treat them nice. You got to show them that they are not just working for this company, they're a part of this company. They have their piece that they play. All of our guys this year, we might have met Red Wing, we bought them all new boots. They get new hoodies, they get new jackets. We treat them like family, because they are family to us. We couldn't do this without them, so that's really important to me, so it's all about the relationships.
Yes.
The end goal is the relationships.
And we try to do that too. Every year, the painters get a Christmas party, the Academy. We're having our Christmas party this Saturday, fully catered, DJ, fun for the whole family. And people don't realize how much that stuff really adds up, but it is very important. And like you said, in an economy like where it's hard to find good help, and I struggle with that myself, because I'm not an introvert, but I just like being alone. I'm good to go home, hang out with the kids. But Casey and I joke all the time. We people for a living. Mm-hmm. We don't want to, and that's sort of where like reaching out to one of the crew members, hey man, how was your kid's birthday this weekend? Like remembering to do that stuff. Because my brain is on the work, but that is such an important part of what we do.
Yep.
And having that connection.
Yeah. See, I'm the opposite. I could people all day. I could people all night.
See, I do people all day and people all night. So like by the time I get home at night, sometimes I was trying to explain this. Joey and I had this discussion the other day. We run out of words.
Yeah.
Like, I'll come home, Casey would talk to me. I'm like, okay. And she's like, what, you don't want to talk? I'm like, I'm out of words. I was like, my brain's done braining today. Let's just eat dinner.
Yeah.
And I'm not like rude about it, but you just run out, because some of us are just comfortable with people.
Yeah.
Now you said your dad had this, he founded it and everything. Now you're kind of stepping into that role.
Yep.
How is that? And I'm asking this from a point of my son and daughter helped with a project the other day for the painting, and she was just mad smack talking Ben. She's a year younger than him. They're ultra competitive. Mm-hmm. And she's just mad smack. She's like, I'm going to run this. You don't even paint good. I'm like, you're 9 and 10. When you don't paint. She was critiquing his brush marks. She was explaining he hadn't rolled enough, but she's planning on running it. And I love that. How is that working for you, stepping in as a woman into a predominantly, there's a lot more women in this field now, and construction in general, but as a home builder, stepping into that position, what's that kind of been like?
So, I want to correct myself. My mom and dad founded this.
Yes,
and
that's fine.
So she stepped out of it a while ago, but I think there's a lot of pressure being a woman in this industry, because first of all, I have to prove to all these men that I'm smart enough to handle the job and get it done correctly. I understand what they're saying, and that I'm strong enough to stand as a home builder, because there's a lot of pressures that come with that. So also being, my dad, he's done this since he was a little kid. So being as good as he is and being able to live up to the standards that he's already created, it's hard. I mean, it's pressure every single day that, am I doing enough? Am I doing this right? And it's a lot of backtracking. But at the end of the day, when I nail something, I sold my first $1.4 million home this year.
Wow.
I designed the house. I picked out all the colors. I picked out all the paint. It was my baby doll of a house. And I signed that deal, and I'm the one that worked it all by myself. And so that really, it's those little, that's not little, but it's those things like that really at the end of the day, you're like, I can do this, you know? And it's my dad, it's me and him having pep talks, and I'm like, I'm confused about this. I don't understand. And he's like, you can do this. So how he teaches me a lot of the times is he throws me to the wolves. Okay. He's like, you figure it out on your own. Don't call me. I'm going on vacation. So it's a lot of, if I can't figure it out, I have these people that I trust, my subcontractors or my guys, like, hey, am I doing this the right way? So it's very hard being a woman in the industry, but I think that it's the confidence. You got to have the confidence to be able to do it. And I've talked to women that have, ran things and got really big in different home building companies, and it's just finding that support system behind that too and making the connections with people.
Do you run into conflict with subs or different contractors or different suppliers or different things because you're a woman? That let me talk to, I could just hear the line now, let me talk to your dad.
No.
Really?
Good. A
Good.
lot of times they want to talk to me instead of talking to my dad. They're like, I'll call Katie. Katie will have it figured out, because I think that they have enough respect for me at this point. So I have not ran into that yet. So I'm very grateful for that. But a lot of times it gets, I'm the one that has to handle it. So that has not been an issue just yet. But like I said, is it because I have those connections and those, most of those guys have known me since I was little. And I talk to them. I say, hey, I'm planning on doing this, and I'm going on this podcast, and I'm changing things in the company like this, and they're there for it, and they're excited about it to watch it all unfold.
That's great. That's one thing that really weirded me out when we started the painting company, and when I finally got Casey to step away from her full-time job, which was her security blanket, and come and us do all this together, was pushback. And it's from women and men. I'll just call Matt. And boy, talk about a way to ruin my dinner that night. Different things, different contractors or different ones we've worked around that want to address the men on the job site. They don't want to call the office for things. Like we kind of do it a little weird. Like you can't walk up and say, hey, Rich, who's like my main foreman, I need you to change, we're going to change some things today. It's not his job. That's got to go to the office, and me and Casey, we do the ordering, we do that.
Right.
And I'm on the job sites, but I'm not always there during the day. I go in the evenings sometimes, or I like to go walk, especially our higher end new construction on the weekends. Mm-hmm. Turn my speaker on, voice text the guys, or I'll send them a list. Hey, noticed a couple things. I want you to fix this or this. And a lot of times trying to communicate that when we're like, Matt was there. No, he wasn't. We've been here all week. We need one of you guys out here. And it's like, dude, I was there for 3 hours on Sunday taking notes. I didn't sticker the house. I took notes and sent photos to my crew and did my role, because they're going to be there Monday morning. I wanted to dress first thing.
Right.
But we have come across that with pushback and I've talked to other companies that have had it too, where I guess because it's the female in the office, they assume it's not the boss. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's a communication thing, but that's great to hear, because that was always something that kind of worried me with, maybe my daughter takes over the painting business. Is she going to get a bunch of crap? I know the martial arts world has evolved much, so I'm not worried about that business. But that's really cool that you have that support system and haven't really had that issue.
Yep. I'm very, very fortunate for that. And, I will call my dad and I'll tell him how I handled a situation. He'll be like, you kicked ass at it. Can we cuss on here?
Yeah.
Okay. He's like, you know what? You are a badass, and you got this, and you handled it exactly like I would have.
Awesome.
So there's a lot of times that I leave him out of situations because he's 62. well, he's 60, I don't know, he's 61 or he's 62, but he doesn't have the patience anymore to deal with the little things or the certain type of, customers. When you're building this big and this pricey of a house, these people want what they want, and I cannot blame them,
No, when it's $1 million house, and I've tried to explain that to my crews before, when a customer's wanting something that we can do it, but it's a pain in the ass, and I'm like, you guys realize it's $1 million house.
Right.
Like, now, what will frustrate us is when it's a $250,000 white box, and they're making requests like they're buying, a $1.4 million house. It's like, oh, did you look at the block? Like,
Yeah.
Did you see this house when you pulled up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, let's calm it down there a little bit on the quality expectations. Now, one thing I noticed in the video is, you guys are building a legitimate $1 million plus home. With the current market, there's some houses I paint are like $800,000 homes. It's like, dude, that's a $40 door. Like, there's nothing in it of high quality.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, those cabinets, yeah, those are in the apartments down the street too. Like, what are we, for the video you posted, you guys are putting the quality in. You're doing the crown moldings. You're doing the extra stuff that a house at that level has. And that's great. I feel like with the market, sometimes there's a lot of people that we go into paint, like I said, $800,000 house. It's like, dude, this is a $300,000 house. It's just really big. Like, what are some things that you would say you guys do to really add that value to the house?
So, we don't cut corners anyway. All of the cabinetry that's going in the houses, it's nice cabinetry, whether it's custom built cabinets or it's, full plywood cabinets. We get all of our cabinets from Chick Lumber and their suppliers, which is usually Waypoint or Star Mark. So we use the great cabinets. We're putting the nice flooring in there. So you do have an allowance when you go and pick out your stuff. And I don't ever send customers to go pick out things alone. I am with every single customer to pick out their stuff, which is something you're not going to find a lot of times with a home builder. They're like, here's our showroom, but no, we go to all the places and we pick them out together. So it's just, we're putting the quality stuff in there. And I think that's why our homes are that price. And, people know about us because the work is quality. And if they can't afford it, or they want us to cut corners and they want us to put, some cheap countertops in or this cheap flooring, we won't do it. That's not our customer, because I'm not going to put that stuff in and then in a couple of years you call me because something has happened to that. Well,
it devalues your product.
Absolutely.
And having your standards set ahead of time is always good. That's a hard lesson to learn in business.
Absolutely.
Like, you're getting this is what you're paying for, this is what I expect.
Right. And if somebody asked me, you just bid out my house, because we do all hand bidding still. We don't do any technology. We do all hand bids. And they're like, well, how come our house is $400,000 more than, a neighborhood builder? Okay, well, you can't compare builders to builders. Everybody's doing something different, but we don't cut corners on the windows. We don't cut corners on the insulation. We do everything at a custom home standard. And a lot of times the clients are right there in there and they're picking what they want in those homes. And we make sure that they know if they want to use a cheap insulation. No, we don't really want to do that, but okay, we will on this house, but you have to sign a release form that says that that we told you that we don't want to use this product.
See, and that's great. And that covers you also. We've done that with different things with our companies. Okay, if you don't want it done this way, I need you to sign. Well, I'm not going to sign that. Well, you're wanting me to do it cheaper. You're going to have to do that because I'm telling you it's not going to work. And I would say it was one of our hardest growth points with as we started taking off. People would try to negotiate, or, well, I don't want you to put a primer on it. It's like, well, you've smoked in the house for 40 years. I have to prime it.
Right.
Well, I don't want a primer. I just want a coat of paint put on it. No. Oh, so you don't want my money?
Yeah.
No, it's not going to work. And I'm explaining to you that I'm the expert and you're not, and it's not going to work. And that's one of the hardest conversations we've had to have a few times. And I would think at your price point with a house like that, you're dealing with an educated customer. It's not their first house. I would say majority of them are looking for that. They've obviously researched. I couldn't imagine someone being in a position to have a house at that price point and not researching the product. You're dealing with a little bit better educated customer,
Right.
I would hope.
Absolutely. And the customers that we have right now, and we've had, since I've been doing it, we have had just great, amazing people that we've worked with. There's been very few people that have been hard to deal with because of that relationship that's built with these people. They know, hey, they are building this investment for us. Home is one of the biggest investments you'll ever have in your life. And they're doing it right, the 2x6 framed walls, or the all the different upgrades that you can put in it. So back when we were building a neighborhood, the homes were a little bit down in the price range to what we're doing now, but it was all flat paint going on the walls. So now we're in these $1 million homes, and so it's the level 5 coating and the upgraded paint.
Nice. So you do a level 5.
Yes, if they
From
want.
From every painter that ever walks in there, I want to say thank you.
Yes. So that's if they want an upgraded paint. We tell them, because we have done it without the level 5, okay? And I will be going back to that house often for a whole year for that 1-year builder's warranty and fixing that stuff because there was not a level 5 put on that. So it's those, those shadowy walls.
Yep.
So
we've come across that before. I recently was at a very popular place, and you could see every line in the drywall because the walls were black. And I told somebody, I was like, level 5 would have taken care of that.
Yeah.
We've come across that too. Sometimes people want a premium product, and you try to explain to them, well, then these steps need to be followed. No. I don't. That's going to cost more money. Mm-hmm. And that's something we've always kind of struggled with, is having those conversations to explain this is going to get you a much better finished product that you're going to be much more happy with if we use this.
Absolutely.
That was something that always frustrated me. We would paint very large homes for builders, and they would want me to use the same thing, same cheap apartment grade product, barely classified as a scrubbable paint on a really big house. And me, my dying need for perfection on stuff, there's several times that I've upgraded the paint, even though it cost me my profit, just because I was like, I can't have my name on this, not at this level of a house.
Yeah.
And I've done that a few times where the crew was like, woohoo, whoa, what changed? I'm like, I just can't. It's not going to work in the colors they want. The product's not going to work this way. I'm blue in the face talking to them. I just ordered you the right stuff because it's going to make my life easier.
Yeah.
And that's excellent that you do that, because I haven't seen that stuff sprayed in so long, and that's an amazing product.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you that we are so picky about what our houses look like that on our front elevations there's a lot of wood. Whether it's cedar or it's Douglas fir, and I have somebody that is not our painter that comes and stains because he is a perfectionist at staining, and I know that our homes are going to look top tier if he is the one staining them.
And see, that's awesome. And that's something else that it's hard with when I hire painters. You stain? Oh. Like they might have brushed a solid body on a deck for somebody once. They haven't really stained wood. And there's an art to it. There's an art to knowing it.
And there's patience.
Yes, patience. And one of the issues we run into a lot is fiberglass front doors. Mm-hmm. And then they've got a Douglas fir on the columns. They got a pine tongue and groove on the ceiling. And then I have one even had those faux beams.
Faux beams, yep.
They looked amazing.
And those got to be gel stained.
Yeah, and the lady wanted everything to match. And I'll tell you what, we got it pretty darn close, but she got a little mad. She's like, my staircase isn't very red. And I said, ma'am, what? Or no, it was red. And I said, yes, ma'am. Do you know what wood it's made out of? Oak. I'm like, no, red oak. Red oak. I was like, it's red oak. The beam is foam. The front door's fiberglass. The shutters are fir. And the ceiling on your porch is pine. My God, woman, I got it really close. Like, we were super proud of it. She's like, it's kind of seeing some red.
I love that you said that, because that is something that we really run into, because the front doors are usually mahogany. Mm-hmm. And, people are like, I want this all to match. And I'm like, I will do the best, but, the mahogany usually pulls a little bit more red, and the cedar pulls this. So we're going to do the best that we can do on this. So I definitely 100% understand that.
Well, we get what I run across too, and I've had to have this really awkward conversation with customers. And I always have Casey leave it up to me, because I've had to do it so much now, but they get the fiberglass door that comes, you can order the gel kit. And I'm like, okay, kind of what colors, what are we looking for here? And they'll send me pictures of a $25,000 mahogany or ash, really just amazing door. And I'm like, this door doesn't even have side lights. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And I've had to call them like, let's be realistic here. This is not what you sent me from Pinterest is not the door that's on your house. Like, I'm good, but I can't paint a school bus and make it look like a Porsche. Like, it's not going to be the same thing. But that's something we struggle with too, because not everybody's honest with their clients like that. Or I've fallen into this niche. I paint so many houses for people contracting it out themselves. And I hate it, but we do a lot of them.
Yeah.
And the reason I hate it is because most people that I'm going to contract it myself, it's because they think they're smarter than someone that builds houses. And there's normally a nightmare. Like, my guys are doing, have went to houses that's like, why is the carpet in? We're here to paint the trim today. Well, you can't paint the trim with the carpet in. Well, I can't paint all the trim because the carpet comes up, and then, you're going to be upset, and we can't spray the doors now because there's no room to do it, and you carpeted all the bedrooms.
Yep.
You want us to spray all the doors in the living room? Like, that's not really good practice. Well, you throw them in the garage. Oh, the cold garage that's dusty and the trim carpenter just saw it in. Awesome. My doors are going to be really smooth. We come across that a lot, and I really get super frustrated with it at times because it's not how the order goes.
Yeah. Well, there is a lot of people that are trying to sub out their own stuff, I've noticed, because we get calls, can you guys give us a bid on framing? But I always tell them too, and I don't know if you would agree with this, that because of how the market is today, it is busy. It is still pretty busy.
Yes. That
a lot of these contractors are not going to be paying attention to that person that is subbing out a home on their own.
Single.
Yeah, they need to be represented by a builder. And like you said, sometimes they don't think that the builder's smart enough. And I guess if you're going that route, it is best for you to do it on your own, because you have got to like your builder.
Yeah, you have to have a good connection with any of them. And no, I completely agree. But a lot of them are, their uncle's a carpenter, so they're going to frame it. But I have come across that where their stuff didn't show up. And it's like, well, no, the big builder down the street, their stuff showed up because they have that rapport.
Yeah.
I have that argument a lot with customers. Well, we bought some Behr paint at Home Depot. Can you use it? No. Why not? You just don't like their paint? No, it's great paint. I personally don't like using it. It's thick. But I have a good relationship with my suppliers to where if there is an issue, we recently had picture framing on a house. We use cashmere. It's a good product. It's a light color, but the house had insane natural light, and they were fixated on it to where they just couldn't not see it. So Sherwin-Williams gave me all the paint. Gave me an upgraded product, and we went out and redid it. No clue why a light color, because that's a below, the reflective light value on that's below 45. I've never had that issue on that color, and it was done with cashmere, which is a better product. And I painted the house twice because I noticed it halfway through, and I thought it was from my roller cover, so I switched to a finer roller cover, and it was still there. If that would have been Home Depot, I'd been out of pocket on every single bit of it. But because I have a relationship, and that's a big fight with customers, I'm going to buy my own paint, and I'm going to do this. Okay, then I'm not for you.
Exactly.
And in the beginning, that was hard to do. Now I've had so many headaches from that stuff that it's super easy to do now. I'm just not the guy for you. Thank you very much, though. You have a great day.
Yep. And it's hard, too, when, you have that connection with your Sherwin-Williams rep, right? So if you come in and you want to build a custom home with us, but you want to, go use your own guy for this stuff, well, that's kind of hard for us too, because these subs, we've been working with them for 25 plus years. These are our guys, and we're still the general contractor on the job. So we have to try to, not only we're putting our sub out of work, but we have to try to manage your guy that we don't, schedule with, that we don't even know.
It just throws a hitch in it for you.
It does. It's hard. It is hard, but it is also hard to tell, there's some things that we will absolutely not do. We will absolutely not use somebody else for. But it is hard to tell a customer, hey, it is a custom home. Somebody that wants a custom home wants these custom things. So if you have somebody, that's fine. We'll work with them. But there's a couple things that we will not cut corners on with using somebody else on.
Well, we get that a lot. Hey, we're building a new home. We just want you to come in, paint the ceilings, and roll the walls. No. What do you mean no? No. So you're going to paint all your trim and everything yourselves. You're going to do the final rollout yourself. Yes. No, thank you. It's not for us. And people get mad. They'll send Casey some nasty emails over it. And I'm like, no, because when your friends come in and say, oh, the paint job, you're going to be like, yeah, boy, your painting did this. Yeah. They're not going to be honest and be like, well, Matt and his guys sprayed it out. And because we've had a few, they want us to basically finish the paint job on the first coat. Like 2-coat everything. It's 100% done before the trim's even in. I had one guy fired us because he's like, you're not painting over my floors. I was like, I can't finish the house on the first trip. That's not how this works. Like, well, you could just walk through and touch it up at the end. No, I can't just touch up walls with eggshell paint. Like, I have to roll the house out so you have a nice finish. We cover everything. We clean up. I was like, we're a very reputable business. Nope, this is how it's going to be done. I called another painter. He came out first thing this morning. Oh, really? He's that busy? Came out first? I'm painting your house. It took me 3 days to get here.
Yeah.
Yep, he said you did it all wrong. I was like, I bet he did. I said, I bet he's got a crew as big as mine, and he's real busy. I said, I bet. And I've just had to put my foot down, take my L's too, if it means I'm going to lose a little money because, say, they owe me and I know if I pull out, they're not going to pay. I've just had to walk because it's going to, in the long run, be a nightmare, especially when they request some silly stuff. Like, I want you to paint the whole house on the first trip, like finished. Sand the walls, spackle them, roll it out. How am I going to paint the trim? Because the trim goes in after the floor. I got to paint. Well, you're not painting over my floors.
Right.
How's that going to work? Like,
And that's just a part of being in business, because I'm sure that you have a million stories of customers that you love and you maybe miss seeing on the jobs. You know, I have customers that they still give me Christmas presents, you know, every year. So it's like you have the bad ones that are just, you know, they just don't understand how it is. And then you have the good ones that they make it all worth it. Like,
oh, for sure. And I think as business owners, that's finding that happy balance too of finding the red flags, meeting a customer and saying, you know what, this is not going to work. I've shook hands on bids and be like, I'm just sorry, this isn't going to work. You know, I'll have a good day. I try to be polite about it as I can without turning it into a confrontation. But I know the second they open the door and the way they speak, not my customer.
Right. What about the happy balance? So how do you, this is something I struggle with, is finding the balance between, you have a lot more things going on than I do, but, you know, I find it hard to balance, you know, my family life, my work life. You know, I live on a bunch of acres and have a bunch of farm animals. So like, it's, you know, that balance between all those different things. So I
seen this quote on a reel the other day. There is no balance. It's hard. It's always going to be hard. I don't think no matter how much you claim to have that balance, if you're passionate about what you do, everybody's like, nope, you get done, you turn your phone off and you pick it up in the morning. No, you friggin' don't. I don't care. If you say that, I will show you why you're broke and your business is failing.
Right.
And why you're paying some coach to teach you how to do it and you're still failing. There just really isn't. I'm lucky with the martial arts school that my children and my wife are part of that. We travel all over. We do stuff together. I might not be at home eating dinner every night because I'm running classes, but I'm in their corner at every tournament. They've got to see the world. We've been to England, Wales, Canada, and we're not stopping. We're going to go to a different country every year and compete. So you have to find that balance. I'm not the dad that's playing soccer with them at 4:30 every day when they get home from school, but I'm the dad when they show up, has the business, and I do teach them multiple nights, and they help me. They're part of leadership. I think you got to have this work-life balance thing is just feel-good bullshit anymore. And the ones of us that are passionate about what we do are just going to make it work.
Yeah.
You know, we might be watching a cartoon movie or something with the kids, and I'm watching a reel with my earbud in. I'm watching a movie. I'm sitting there with them. I'm not what they would call present, but I'm watching, maybe I'm listening to a reel or a book on like monetizing social media. It's been something I've been trying to learn a lot about. I'm still there spending time, but I'm not zoned out in front of the TV. I've never been a person to be zoned out in front of a TV. Not me. Like every once in a while my battery will run really low and I'll just chill. But that's like, when I do that, Casey's like, wow, holy crap, you good? Yep, just need a day. Just gotta chill.
Right, yeah.
Is that something you're struggling with?
I think that it's hard for me because I'm a woman, and you know, I'm I have young children. I have a 5-year-old and I have almost a 2-year-old. And so when I grew up, I was out on the job site, summertime every day. We had chores, we cleaned up the job site. So I feel a little bit of guilt, and I made a post about this the other day, that sometimes they're on the job sites with me. I don't hire babysitters. My kids come with me. They work with me and they learn, because that's what I did. That's what I did growing up. But I think that sometimes I do struggle with the late nights and then coming home, and this is like the most precious years of their life, being this young, and I'm working to basically rebrand a whole company, and I'm putting in these hours to learn as much as I can in a short amount of time. So that's, I do struggle with that, finding the balance in that.
One of the things I tell myself, and I may be dead wrong, the memories they're going to have on the job sites is the memories they're going to tell. The memories they're going to have of, telling people about, you should have seen these houses my mom was building. I really feel that when we look back, that's what they're going to do. My kids are not going to be sitting around going, yeah, Dad never played soccer with me after school. They're going to be like, dude, do you know my dad could jump up and do the splits? That we went to tournaments and we won gold medals together. Do they loved, Jocelyn used to go power wash me all the time. And it bummed me out when we got to a size that I couldn't handle all the prep work. I was going around doing the power washing when I started kind of stepping out of a van full time. I would go power wash decks and do different things, and I would take her or Ben with me to help. We don't get to do that as much, but every chance I get, I take them. If we're painting some real ratty apartment, come on, guys. And they'll brush. They can handle a brush and a ladder. I've got some really, hilarious stuff. They've snuck off before. It was 3 years ago. So Ben was 7.
Yeah.
I come around the corner, and he had a 4-foot stepladder out painting something up near the ceiling. He was on the second to top rung, had his paint pot hooked where it goes, and was brushing. And my foreman, Rich, is like, hell, he's smarter than half the guys we hire.
Yeah.
And I really think that looking back, that's the memories they're going to tell, and that's the example. I've had people my entire life. I've been a hustler. I've always had a day job, always had a night job, always did something. And everybody always tells me, you need to slow down. You need to take it easy. You need some time off. Some of us don't.
Right.
Some of us don't want that. I am grumpy and just uncomfortable trying to chill and take time off.
It's hard.
Just downright, I'm pissy. I don't like to do it. I need to do something. And I notice it with my kids. They'll bicker and fight more when we just try to chill.
Right.
But if we got things to do, it keeps them occupied. So it's just finding that balance, and like I said, that's just something I go back to my inner dialogue all the time. Is they're going to tell the good stories. They're going to be like, you know what? When I was 8, we competed in England and stood on a podium. They're not going to tell them that they barely seen me for 8 weeks before that, unless we were training because I was trying to get an entire team ready. They're going to tell the stories of the businesses we have, not the fact that I used to go 2 weeks without actually physically seeing them awake. Because I painted.
Yeah.
All day, every day. I was up at 5, gone. And sometimes it'd be 2 weeks before I got home at a time when they were there and I got to see them. But we all lived under the same roof.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
But they were very young. Like you said, they were young. It's at very formidable years. Anytime I see content on that with someone that's really successful, I think Grant Cardone's done amazing with his kids and keeping them a part of what he does. But I always kind of stop to watch that because I'm like, what are they doing? Because when I see people that are billionaires and doing all this stuff, I'm like, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, they got lucky and made all those billions. They're working their ass off.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, okay, so what are they doing to find that? How do they keep that? Because we don't hire babysitters either. We take them with us on stuff. If I'm constantly trying to take, hey, you guys will go bid with me. At one point I got them, they have all their own little shirts. I actually got them little notebooks and pens. And so we go on jobs and they would stand there and write their notes while I did mine.
That's how I grew up.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I think it's awesome stories to hear that. I used to go in, my dad worked for General Motors. I used to go in on the weekends with him. He'd go in and knock out some paperwork and stuff, and we'd ride a scooter around the plant. I don't remember looking back and being like, oh, I remember all the Saturdays my dad works. No, I remember all the ones I went with him, and I got to, play with pocket knives up at the front desk with Fred that ran security up there. I called Uncle Freddie. He'd always have a knife or something cool to show me. He was an old country boy that, he bought me my first knife, and then my mom hid it. She had a panic attack over it. I feel that's the stories they're going to tell.
Yeah, and I I can agree with that. I'm so grateful, and I will never forget those memories of my dad teaching us the stuff that he did, and it's shaped me who I am today in every single way, you know?
That's awesome.
I would never get that anywhere else, and he's my biggest teacher, and he's also my biggest cheerleader on the side. So it's you know,
that's awesome. He's got to be very proud of what you're doing then.
Yeah, and it touches, you know, it makes you tear up a little bit, because it's like, it's so big. There's so many opportunities, and there's so much that can be done, you know? So it really is, it's awesome.
And when I'm doing what I do all the time, hustling businesses, trying to grow a new thing, whatever it is, I constantly in the back of my head too think, like, I want my kids to talk that way about me and their mother when they're older. I want them to sit back and be like, you know what, they worked their butts off. They were at each other's throats sometimes. Man, we had to get up and hustle out of the house early for tournaments, but to when they're successful and I'm able to point them in the directions and help them with things, that's the stories I want them to tell. I want them to be like, you know what, there was some rough times, but look what they created that now we get to take to the next level. Like, I love my martial arts school, but I love just my martial arts school. I don't want a chain. Now, I hope that by learning what I know about business, that if Ben and Jocelyn want to do a big chain and make a lot of money with it, they can. I personally like knowing each and every student and working with them and being their instructor. I have absolutely no drive to own multiple locations.
Yeah, you like it to be personable.
I just like my dojo. It's mine. It's my team. It's me and my students, and I'm so proud of them. I mean, I cheer for them louder than anyone, even if it's outside of the martial arts of what they do. They're awesome.
Yeah.
I don't want to chain. Not saying that people have, I got buddies that have chain schools that still are very connected to their students. That's not where I want to go with it.
Yep.
But if they wanted to, I'm making sure to learn the things to teach them and direct them and help them do that.
Yeah.
Having that mentor and having that person to guide them.
It's important.
I believe it is. And even if they don't want to take over mine, that's fine. I'll teach till I die. I'm totally good with that. If they want to do something else, they're both pretty set at this age. They're going to take over everything I've got. But we'll see.
Yeah.
You know, they're young. That's what every kid, it's great. What, with building the houses, what do you find the biggest challenge in that whole process? And I know there's a lot of challenges in it. I can only imagine handling that many subcontractors and dealing with, you at that level of what you're doing, you're so hands-on with the customer. You have to be. That's what they want. What would be one of the most challenging things that you really come across in your day-to-day operations other than the work-life balance?
One of the most challenging things, I don't know. That's a hard one.
I know when they're all challenging, it's hard to be like, what's the most challenging?
I think the most challenging thing is just managing each, right now I got about 9 custom homes going, and it's managing each thing that's going on at that one house, so I think that is the most challenging thing, because very, very easily there can be some big mistakes made. It's there's going to be little mistakes here and there. There's always going to be something, but it's those big, big mistakes that really matter, that you really, really have to just slow down. That's what my dad always says, slow down and just take a breath and just, you got to make sure that you got it all right. There's so many details that I literally have a color sheet that it's got all these different columns on it, and I go tape it to the windows when the windows go in the house. And it's so every sub that goes in there, they don't fuck up because they read that sheet, and everybody gets a start sheet on that house. And so it's just making sure that there's no mistakes. If we build a house, if we frame out a house and the house sits for a while for some reason, and I've already done that color sheet, we're going to revisit that color sheet, because I'm going to forget. That job isn't going to be as fresh in my mind anymore because it's been sitting for whatever reason. And so it's making sure that there's nothing missed, because there could be something, if they wanted this style of trim and the wrong style of trim went in, and my trim guy's already got, 8 hours on the job. That's a big fuck up.
Oh, yeah.
We
had wrong color delivered to a house the other day. The entire house was first coated in the wrong color because the guys were outside of cell service, north of Troy, couldn't call us. and it was an earth tone, like the color it was supposed to go in it. It was an honest mistake, but guess what? I had to buy all new paint and send someone right back out there to repaint it. It happens.
But
I get it.
See, like a mistake like that.
Well, that's a fixable mistake.
That's a fixable mistake, but that mistake would be on me too, because I'm the one that's sending out the start sheet to the painter, unless for some reason he ordered the wrong paint, But there's a lot of mistakes that if they are made, it falls back on me. There's a lot of responsibility. I'm working with the customers. I'm doing the bids. I'm sending out the start sheets. I'm running all of social media. So there's so many different aspects that I'm in between that it's.
Oh, I know exactly. I literally sit down sometimes. I will just sit my head on the kitchen table and I tell Casey, I can't outthink all the mistakes that could possibly happen. It's putting everything into place. But like that particular day, the foreman did not pull up his work order before going to the job site and read it thoroughly to see his color. I had the paint delivered there because I was buying a lot of it in bulk, keeping it at the shop and then divvying it up. And so I decided this year to, instead of doing a huge paint order at the beginning of the month, because we would have jobs cancel, jobs move, and then I've got all this paint.
Right.
Get it sent when the guys show up. Helps with budget reasons. He didn't read his work order correctly. Then we had an unknown issue of he didn't have any cell reception. Sherwin mixed it wrong. We ordered it correctly. It was given to us by the customer correctly, but there was one little mistake that turned into a larger one it was fixable, but I could see it. They show up, they put in the wrong trim, someone hasn't read the work order. You have somebody trim a whole house out. If you've got 9 houses going, you might not make it to every one every day.
Yeah, I will.
And I do the same thing. I literally tell Casey, I just can't outthink all the bullshit.
Yeah.
So I try to go to each job. But then I can't just be standing around on each job every day answering questions.
Yeah.
I also have to run the business and handle the social media so we grow.
Yeah.
Film the podcast, shoot the content, and then at 2:00 I clock out and I clock back in at the other one. So I get it. Yeah. It's so hard to do that stuff and factor in human error of, okay, the wrong trim showed up, let's say because the lumber company got 2 lot numbers mixed up. But the delivery guy didn't read it and the carpenter didn't read his sheet. Now you got a house trimmed out that you paid people to do. You can't just take that money back from them.
No, you got to eat it.
You just got to eat it and move on. And that is the one thing that people just don't see that.
Yeah. And it's, you know what, for me, and I'm sure that my dad can agree with this, it's been a couple weeks ago, we had a hard couple weeks. We had houses that we bid out, a couple of them, for months at a time, and we signed the contract and then the financing fell through. Why the people didn't have their financing in order before, I don't know. But it was that moment of, holy shit, like this just kicked my ass. Like I had a goal. I wanted 4 more contracts signed before the end of the year, because then I know our guys got work. Yep. Because if you don't have work for those guys, they're going somewhere else.
Oh yeah.
And you will not find good guys like that again.
No, if you've got good ones and you lose them, you're going to fight your way back up. I've done it 3 times.
Yeah, and it's like, so it made me feel super defeated that I put all this time into these jobs and we lost these jobs, which we don't lose a lot of jobs, and then it was the next day, it was the other contracts getting signed, and I'm designing a new custom home right now that's going to be a total showstopper, and for me, it's the late nights that you can't sleep because your brain is just filing through all those exciting things that are coming, and there's so much to it, There's definitely way more good than there is bad.
Yes.
But there's those stressful days,
But you're probably like me. The bad you beat the living hell out of yourself over the bad.
Oh yeah.
When we have bids and they're not coming in, I'm getting better about it. But if I don't have a lot of work bid out, I start panicking. And I'm talking like if we're not booked out 3 months, I'm freaking out. Or say I'm waiting on a builder. It's got a ton of work. I had a builder call in 2 apartment complexes and 9 houses. But didn't know the dates because they were struggling with communication issues with their taper. So I was scrambling to keep everybody working because I've got a core of 10 guys and girls right now that are great. And I didn't want to lose a single one. Now, before we wrap up, I got one more question. How did you do in school? Like, were you a A student?
No.
Didn't think so.
Hey.
Nope, I wasn't either. I barely got through it, but you remind me a lot of myself. So.
I went to a path, like the alternative school, and so I graduated early. I never thought I would do, like, it's always been sitting there, like kind of waving my face like, you can do this. And after high school, I did work a little bit for my dad, but I was not mature enough to handle that job. And it wasn't till after I kind of went out and did my own thing and realized like I always got pulled back to it. I always got pulled back to it. But it wasn't until after I had children that I realized how much it meant to me and how much I wanted to do
Dad's
this.
legacy.
And I wanted to kick ass and that I could just totally, I can do this, you know? So it wasn't till then that I was like, all right, I got this.
That's awesome. Just different things you've said was being up late at night, thinking about the details, just different things. That's exactly things I struggle with. Casey can go right to sleep. She's not that person. She did good in school, had good grades. Man, I'm writing a speech right now, and one of the things I talk about in the speech is the fact that if it wasn't for a fact, I had a couple teachers that must have seen something in me, I wouldn't have got out of high school.
Yeah.
I could tell you right now, I never did homework. I didn't try. I disliked school. I didn't like it at all, but I got through
what you needed to.
Yeah, just being a little bit just charismatic and sweet enough that some of the teachers felt bad for me or whatnot. Maybe they see something. I've wanted to kind of run into a few over years like, hey, turned out successful. We're good.
Yeah.
You saw it. You were right.
Yeah.
Help the next kid too, because there's no reason. Like looking back on some stuff like, dude, there's no reason I should have graduated those classes. But I find that really common in high operating level people that our brains are just wired differently. They're not wired for schoolwork. They're wired to think outside the box and handle so much other stuff that, and I watch it with Casey and I, she's not wired the same way I am. I can take so many things and multitask and manage them in my head ridiculously that she's like, how? And so that's why I wanted to ask that. See, that's the whole reason I want to do this is to have these conversations with people, because this is really cool and get to learn so much stuff and meet with like-minded people. Because there's times, and I know you, I guarantee you feel this, that you're like, man, I'm the only one. Yeah. I've got to be the only one that's like killing it all day and has one little thing and is like, loser, you know.
It's so black and white. It's, you know, it's either do or don't for me. And it's you got to give yourself a little bit of grace, though, in that, you know, because...
Yeah, but that's hard to give ourselves grace.
It is.
I can give everybody else grace.
It is.
It's hard for me to give myself grace. Like, you know better.
I struggle also not having friends because I'm, you know, I don't want to take you out to lunch because you don't have money to pay for your own lunch. Like, I want people that, like, want to talk about business and, like, they're okay, like, with the grind, you know? I mean...
Very much so. I completely agree with that. It's one of the things Kyle and I discussed with the exotic cars that were outside.
Yeah.
I want a car, not for a status symbol. I'm a car guy. Always have been, always have had cool cars. Don't have one right now. And I feel like I need a shirt that says don't have cool car, feel bad for me. But what a lot of these people have told me is it's a networking thing. They're around other people. If you're driving a Ferrari, you're grinding. You're doing things. And so when they're out at those meets, they're around other like-minded, lot of entrepreneurial people. And when we had that conversation, I was like, I'm on a mission
to get a cool car.
I just want a Porsche. I've always wanted a Porsche.
Yeah.
I don't even want an expensive one. I just want one really bad. Always have. And at one point in my life when I realized I finally hit an income level to where I was like, oh, I'm not just window shopping. I could actually maybe do this. But once I looked at it from that aspect of, oh, cool, this would be a way to actually, because I love these conversations.
Yeah.
A lot of people, employees in general, or sometimes the conversations we have, it's like, this is depressing.
Yeah.
But this, like, I will leave here so pumped up. I've got a couple coaching clients I work with. When I leave talking to them, I'm so pumped. But then when I'm around, like, I'll be sitting at the school. I sit all the way down at this end of the desk, and I'll listen to all the conversations. And I'm like, we're doomed as a society.
Yeah, no
I'm
way.
like, am I just this weird person? And then I meet with someone like yourself. I'm like, okay, whew. All right, God, there's more of us out there. We're going to be okay.
Yeah, and that's why I joined a networking group. I didn't even care about making money off of these people giving me connections. Like, I just wanted friends. You know, like, I just want friends who, like, have a house, you know? Like, I'm 27 years old. I own 15 acres of property. I have a beautiful pole barn house.
Well, it's just because your dad was a builder.
Yeah, right. But, you know, I put in the work and the sweat and the tears. So.
I'm saying that because that's what the haters say. People stop me all the time. Oh, so your dad was a painter? Oh, what degree black belt did your dad get to? He got his black belt after I got mine.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a painter. They're like, so you just, like, started a business? Yeah. Well, did like someone? No, we saved up. That's why I actually pushed Casey to do the networking so she could hear like how many people actually didn't do it the way we did. I was like, no, I saved up $50,000 and started it. Broke it to my wife that we weren't going to buy a house yet. And people are like, oh, because their cop out is Matt's good at Taekwondo. His dad was like this big black belt, whatever. So Matt had that paint company. Yeah, his uncle started that. He took it over. With you, people be like, oh, it's their dad. They don't realize the work you put in.
Yeah.
They don't realize that it's not that story. That's just such a bullshit story. Losers tell themselves to feel better about seeing winners win.
Yep, and I can tell you right now that if I walked away today and I said, I'm done with Aiello Homes, my dad would retire because he couldn't handle it on his own.
Gone.
He could not do it. I am his, I'm his right-hand man, and he could not absolutely do it. And that is like, people are like, you just had, this job just fell on your lap. Like, do you know how hard it is?
I bet. You know how hard it is to work for a family member?
Yeah, do you know how hard it is to do this? Like, me and my dad, our relationship is work. And then maybe after hours we'll like be father and daughter, but it is work.
But work falls into that too.
He's full-blooded Italian.
Yeah.
He is screaming all the time, and I get screamed at all the time.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes I match that level because I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah, you have to.
Absolutely. So.
Well, this was awesome today. I really enjoyed this. I was really excited when you commented to have you on and have this conversation with seeing the houses and seeing everything and having these connections. This is the whole purpose. I want to do one of these is to have these because we don't get to have these conversations every day. It's work, and then there's work. Oh yeah, you did good at school day, then back to work.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Well, I'm very happy that.
Well, I'm definitely will have you back on because I've got so many more things I want to talk about, but we're gonna wrap up. So
great.
Thank you guys for checking out the Lincoln County podcast today. Katie Aiello here talking about building badass homes, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you.